In this video, I'm joined by Junior Jack, and he discusses his favourite synths. We talk about running labels, we talk about making the track Stupidisco, and loads of other things. Let's jump in. Hey, it's Grahame Farmer from Data Transmission, and today on YouTube, I'm joined by the legendary house music producer, Junior Jack. He joined me on Twitch recently for a lengthy, in-depth conversation. We talked about his favourite synths, we talked about, discussed running labels, we talked about his history, we talked it's a really good, in-depth conversation with him, and I'm bringing it to YouTube today. If you've not joined me on Twitch already, the link is below. I'm a Twitch partner now, and check out the video in the cards. It explains more about it. And I stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And we have live interviews, live conversations, live for NR sessions. You can submit your tracks for demo from feedback. We have social media masterclasses. Come and join us on Twitch. It's really good fun. Let's jump into this interview without further ado, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's go. Hello.
Hello.
You're in the studio. Wicked.
Always in the studio, man. I spend my life here.
No way. How's your last 18 months been?
Well, at the beginning, I was a little bit scared about all those news, everything we hear. So I was a little bit paralyzed. And then slowly, I start getting back to the studio and working. I've been working a lot. Actually,
Yeah.
Lockdown didn't change much for me because I'm always locked and working. Only thing that changed that I've been not traveling for such a long time. For first time in my life, I didn't travel, go play out. So this I start really missing.
Yeah, I bet. Didn't you have a 10-year break from? Because you were like, I remember buying the records just like back in the early 2000s, loads of them, like when Da Hype came out and all those sort of records. And then didn't you have like a 10-year break?
I mean, I had a break maybe for the public, but not for me. I mean, I never stop working in the studio and making new music. And after the release of the album, which was back in 2004, I've been touring like an animal, and the time passed so fast. And then this new era of electro came, like this little bit cold music. And I was not feeling that, I always say that music for me, it's like a conversation. When you have nothing to say, you better shut up. So at that moment, with that electro music came this wave of really electro. I didn't feel like I have something to say in the music area. So I just locked myself in the studio doing stuff, and I stopped releasing records. But I just stopped releasing, but I never stopped working like usual.
Yeah, you had some, and that album was huge. Like I remember when it came out, it was ridiculous. Like you had so many big hits on there, and so many of those big hits you still hear. Like the amount of times I've been at festivals and still hear those records played, and it's just like shows how good that album was, really.
Yes, I still don't. The time has passed so fast, man. I cannot realize that was released in 2004, man.
Yeah, that's nearly that's a couple of years. That's nearly 20 years. Jesus, that's a long time.
Wow. Yes.
And you've worked with some big people: Jocelyn Brown, Kafe, Brown, Ron Carroll. Obviously, you've done a thing with Bob Sinclair, Moby. You had a compilation on Defected. Wow, you've done so much stuff.
Yes, I think I've done a lot of stuff.
I also didn't realise you were Room 5 as well, which was incredible.
Yes, I did that at the same time when I was doing the album. It was one of the tracks that I finished, and I didn't feel like he was connected with the Junior Jack album, so I put it out with a different name.
I read that when I started looking at some of the album, the label stuff, and then I was like, no way. You know, when you're just like, oh no way, that's weird. You've also started a label, so let's talk about that.
Yes, we started the label like a few months before the pandemic disaster happened. And yes, I mean, we've been talking and say, okay, what we're going to do now? We stop or we keep on? And then we say, okay, we should keep on. I mean, what else we can do? We cannot do anything else than music. So we started now, let's keep on. So it's been hard work. And not easy, to release record during the pandemic because there is no party, no DJ play out. But we resist. We keep on releasing tracks, and yeah, I'm very happy with the label. Now it's just the 10th release. Actually, it's going to be the 11 release number 11. So it's a fresh label. It's the beginning. Let's see where this brings us.
What was the ideas behind what you're starting it?
But the idea, I had always a label. Back in the days, I had a label called Noise Tracks. And then I stopped that label because of contract, record company issues and stuff. And I start this new label because I partner with a guy called Pat BDS for some other business, actually developing music production software. And at the same time, he's a very he's very into the music. At the beginning, he was an investor for this project of developing the software, and then we start jamming together in the studio, having fun, and then we have some tracks, and then we say, okay, what we're gonna do? We're gonna start chasing labels and stuff, or we just put it out ourselves. So we decide to make a label to just release our stuff, and then of course you cannot feed a label only with my stuff or his stuff. So we start signing new artists, and that's how it starts. Just because we have some music, we want to put music out without struggle with sending a label, waiting for answers and stuff like that. So it was a easy thing to do, and yeah, to make the label living, we need to have some releases every month, and so we start signing people.
Who have you signed?
I mean, we sign a few guys. We signed a guy called Virak, which is a French guy living in Asia, in Thailand. Then we signed some people from Chicago called Downlow. Then now lately Ferra Black, also for United States. Then we signed Tim Cullum from England. Now Joachim Ameling from Holland with this track just released called Speculation. We had a lot of guys, involved, like very good names as a remixers. We had like lately, like Toteri. Soon we're gonna have a Josh Butler remix, and Matsasari, Ari Chuchu, Joachim Amling. We're gonna have a remix by George soon. I don't know if you say George or Gorge in England. So
I think George, yeah.
I'm really looking forward for this one. And yes, and we had Colombo also, which is a Belgian producer, and now looking for new material that I'm working with my partner, Part BDS, and we're gonna have some new stuff out.
That's interesting. You're pairing like a young producer with an established head. That's
Yeah, but I like, because I can say that I have a little bit of experience as a producer. I mean, being almost 30 years locked in the studio. So I like now to give my knowledge to some young guys, so I receive a lot of demos. And when I hear some track that there is some potential to do better than that, I just rework or help them to have a final product to put on the market. So it's kind of cool, to give what I learned during all those years to help other people.
I guess the label process has changed since the first label you ran as well. I guess it must be a lot easier these days.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the first label was the time with vinyls, So I was with the van myself going to pick up the vinyls, deposit them to the distributor. Yeah, of course, it's a different story. But, it's for me, it's just the same. It's just I miss the physical thing in my hand. But, it's been a few years. It's 10 years now, so I get used to. I say it's just a little bit different process, but it's the same thing: releasing music and try to selling feelings.
Yes, yeah, and I guess streaming as well is just completely different as well, which is cool. Yeah, so you had Todd Terry on one of the remixes. That's really cool. I was going to play some of the music, so let's bring up some of those tracks. Let's play. Should we play the most recent track and give people a bit of a feeling of what you're? So I'll play this one so people can have a listen. We'll talk about what you did, how you added to it. That'd be cool. Okay, let's play this. Wicked. So that was Virak Koalak. Koalak, yes. And that's your rework. So essentially he sent you that demo to you and then you wanted to kind of add something to it.
On the demo, I like the vocal part in the break and the bass. So I keep most of the elements that Virak did. I just rearrange them a little bit and add some drums, and that's it. And did the final structure.
That's really cool. And so, do you look for that? What do you look for when people send you demos? Do you look for certain elements, or
sometimes I have a demo that they are okay the way they are. We just make a better mix down to have a more punchy sound, and but sometimes I feel that need a little bit of rework, so I do what I feel the record needs. But it's not necessary, when something it's already. For example, some other people that we signed, I didn't touch anything. I mean, we just released the record the way it was.
And then I've been listening to some of the music from the label. It's sort of, you definitely vary across genres. What sort of thing are you looking for from a demo?
Well, I don't have a genre. I love electronic music in general. So this is the same when I do my DJ set. You can hear, a techno track, then you can hear a deep track or tribal or very vocal house or dubby or whatever. If I like the record, I like the record. I try to put it in the set that, traveling a little bit. Personally, I don't like the guys who they play only one genre because I got very bored fast. So I like when you make the crowd traveling through different genres. If you listen my album, when I did release back in the days my album, you can only hear already that there are some tracks completely different. It's me. I mean, it's me. I can do something very commercial. I mean, more commercial, like Stupidisco, for example, and then doing some stuff more underground on different name or on my label. Yeah, just because I don't have one specific genre. I like electronic music in general. I mean, I like music in general.
That's cool. That's quite wide. That's really cool.
As soon as it's okay for dance floor, I don't think we're gonna release something that it's 100 BPM.
Yeah, it's gotta be party ready, I guess. And you've been releasing a lot of your own stuff as well. Are you going to do another? Is there plans for a second album?
I don't know if we are really in the era of albums anymore, to be honest. I feel like people do the album themselves. They just pick a track on iTunes or Tracksource or Beatport, and they make their own compilation. So at the moment, I'm not really into an album himself. So I'm releasing tracks little bit all over, like this Stupidisco remix, which is very appreciated at the moment and played all over. We are in very good position in all the chart. That David Pan did a remix, and now there is a remix of Storken that is just been released, and will be another remix of Julian Patch, which is a guy from Australia.
Yeah, cool.
And I released also this another Trill, which was next track after Trill Me, done back in the day to give the old school flavor. And this is released Mother, which is now. So it's not really an album, but I have different track releasing in a different label.
Yeah, let's listen to this Todd Terry mix, and then I definitely want to talk to you about Stupidisco. I definitely want to hear all the stories about Stupid. I love that record. It's one of the records that literally stays on my iTunes. I've got a playlist, and it literally stays in my playlist the whole time. Even for such a long period. So when that remix, the David Pendrop remix, dropped into my inbox, I was very excited. So I definitely want to talk to you about Stupidisco and another thrill. So, but let's play this Todd Terry remix of Virac. I want to ask you why you chose Todd for this remix, but let's listen to this and then we'll chat more about it. Cool. That was the Todd Terry mix.
Yes.
Kowalak. How comes you picked Todd for this one?
Every time we want to make a remixes, we make a list of a few potential people that can remix the track. Then we send over and we see who like more the track and feel that they can do something with it. And Todd Terry came back with this one directly, say, yeah, I love the track. I have an idea. I can do it quick. And then, yes, it was an honor. It's an honor for me, to have such a pioneer of house music on the label. This is one of the guy who gave me the virus of house music. So,
have you done stuff with him before?
No, never. I've been in contact with him few years back. We were supposed to make a track together. Then he was busy, I was busy. Then finally we didn't do. But now I have it on my label. So maybe in the future we'll make some collaboration. It's a very cool guy, and I have a very good feeling with him.
That's really cool. Also, you've had Youssef remix. Well, looks Harry Max Chapman's remix there. Butch's remix. I love Butch, by the way.
Yes. Butch, it's a very weird producer. He can make something very primetime climax club, or he can make something very soft. In this case, he made something very psycho.
That's cool. I want to hear that. Well, maybe we'll listen to that in a bit. And who else have you had on this? Joski's on there. That's cool.
Joski, I really love Joski as a producer. He's a very cool producer.
Cool. Let's talk Stupidisco then. Let's just talk about the original. Tell me about the original. How did that come about? Let's go back a few years.
Well, the name already say a lot. I call it Stupidisco because, it was actually, I was in the studio locked, mixed down my album during 2-3 months. And then everything was done. And I wake up, in the morning before going to the studio to make all the edit and put all the master in order to send to the record company. And then when I wake up, I say to myself, okay, I want to do today one last track for the album that nobody knows about it, not even me. And I will do something very fast and very stupid. It was like a joke. That's why I call it Stupidisco, because I say I will do something with a disco sample, very stupid track, fast done. And it's going to be the last track of the album, and I'm going to call it Stupidisco. So I came into my 12-inch room. I have a room where I have all my 12 inches, and I just grabbed like 10 vinyls on my disco place, I put it without looking at what I'm taking. I put in my record bag, I drive to the studio, and I just listened some record, and I came across this Pointer Sister, and I just hear, baby, make your move, step across the line, the hook. I sample it, and I just did the track. Like in 2-3 hours, everything was finished, mixed down and everything. So I sent it to the record company. I said, this is a surprise. It's a last track on the album. It's called Stupid Disco. But for me, it was a joke, And then after the third single, Defected and Pias, which was the original record company, they want to release as a single. And I was surprised. I say, guys, but this was only a joke, that I did on the album. They say, well, your joke, it's a cool joke. So we think we're going to release as a single. That's why it was the last single of the album. And actually, to be honest, it's one track that I was very surprised about the result, because for me, like I say, I did it as a joke for my album.
That's mental.
All my record, I program in Logic or Reason or Cubase or Ableton or Pro Tools, doesn't matter which DAW. But this Stupid Disco, it's the only track that I don't have any programming, because I did the track as a hip hop kind of producer style. I did it only with vinyls and putting audio in Pro Tools. So I put the loop of Pointer Sister, then I put one kick with the vinyl, also in audio. Then I only played the bass and the synth with the keyboard, but I don't have any programming. Everything was done audio live. After we tried to clear the sample, it was kind of complicated a little bit for the master owner and for the publishing and everything. So I decided to replay everything. So the track was done, everything in 3 hour finish, but with the sample on it. Then I went back to the studio and I replay all the sample. That took me maybe 2 days to replay everything with the vocals and everything. So the track that the people know, the release, it's without a sample. Everything is being replayed.
No way. And you're saying replay, do you play instruments naturally?
Yes. Of course, for the acoustic bass, for the guitar, and for the stuff, for the vocals, I had some studio musicians to do the job. But the rest, everything programming, I did myself, yes. One more time, this proved to me what I always think is that the best record are the one. I would not say the best, but the record that catch the people the most are the most spontaneous, are the one that they are made fast, because you put your feeling over there without thinking twice, and then the people get it. Every time when I work around one record for a long time, when it release, nobody care about it. And every time when I do something very fast, then I have a bigger success. Like you mentioned before, the Room 5, Make Love, this remake of old classic Olivier Cheetham, Saturday Night. I did that one also like in 2 hours. Everything was done.
No way. That record was huge as well. Did you have to replay those with the sample as well when the sample got cleared?
Yes, I did. Actually, Olivier Cheetham came down to the studio and we redid all the vocals. So I had the honor to record with Olivier Cheetham before he passed away.
No way. That's sick. David Penn has remixed the remix Stupid Disco now. Let's talk about David Penn. I'm a big fan of him. Did you get to choose that, or did the label choose that?
We did choose together, to be honest. David Penn, it's a friend. I know him since long time, very long time. And lately, I mean, it's been a few years that he's smashing non-stop, with all remixes, all releases that he does. And for me, it was the unique guy can do something with a contemporary sound and keeping this disco housey vibe of the track, because this is what he does most of the time. He's got his own style at the moment. Actually, it's one forgotten style for many people, but he keep on doing and he pay off for him. Yeah, I think it was a logic guy to remix that track.
Okay, let's give it a blast and let everyone hear it, because I love this remix. That was a big David Penn remix of Junior Jack's Stupidisco. And I'm joined by Junior Jack this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me. This is really good fun.
I appreciate it, mate. Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about samples a little bit. You use a massive sample there. I guess it's a lot harder these days to use a sample with all the ID systems and getting taken down. Do you have any kind of tips for producers who are using samples these days?
Well, using a sample, it's not complicated. You sample it. But what is complicated is to clear, to make your record being released properly, not as a bootleg. Personally, every time I release something with a sample, I always clear. I never release anything, but I can see that there is many people who do that, many record company. I mean, when you go on Beatport, you see many tracks, and even I will not name some people that I know that they do that. So they just release without clearing anything. Of course, nobody's going to bother you, no record company, nobody. If you are just on a Beatport and that's just on a dance chart, because there is not much money to get there. But if you release as a single with the video, with the proper promo radio and everything, then yeah, you better clear, because you're going to be stopped. But this is the rule, that it's always the same rule in the past and now it's the same.
Yeah, for sure. When you're hunting for samples, is there anything you look for in specifically, or is it kind of just by ear?
No, I mean, when I look for sample, it's like I have the initial idea what kind of track I want to do. Of course, if I want to do something with a vocal disco hook, then I will look. I know the artist that they have some vocals on it, and I will look. When I'm looking for something more jazzy loop, then I will look into my jazz collection. Yeah, it depends the initial idea. And sometimes I don't have any idea, just listen some old track and something catching me, and I just sample it and I loop it and try to build a track around. If the magical happened very fast, then I keep on. If after 2 or 3 hours turning around the sample, I'm not convinced about anything, I just delete and start something new. I think the magic has to happen fast when you sample something. If you keep on working around too much, it means it's not a good sample. Just delete and find something else.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a really good tip. I love that. I also, when we do these Chalk Splat samples, I always tell the audience to sample us and then send us the record and make a record out of something we've said this afternoon. So if someone makes a record out of something that Junior Jack has said this afternoon, send it to him, and then we'll send it to me and we'll send it to him.
Okay.
I made a video with Vanilla Ace about sampling, and someone actually sampled him saying something from that video, and then he actually released it on his label because it was so funny. I made a great track.
Fun, yes.
Yeah, they're asking in the chat if we can hear the Stalken remix. I don't know much about Stalken, so tell me about that person. I don't even know if they're male or female.
Yeah, it's a male. It's a male. But to be honest with you, I don't know really much about him also, because it's not really my area of electronic music. But I know that this guy has got a lot of people who really appreciate and like what he does. And this was a choice from the record company. And actually, it's a very cool guy. Lately, I've been messaging with him. Yeah, it's very cool guy. And yeah, the remix has got his own vibe. If I have to choose myself which one to play, I will play the David Penn because it's the closest to the original. So it's closest to me than the Stalker one. But I can see some other people with this new disco electronic Giorgio Moroder kind of vibe. They can prefer the Stalker remix.
Yeah, I love that. I love that big piano in the David Penn remix. It's just adds something new, doesn't it, to that track?
Yeah, this is the biggest part of his own touch, because all the rest it's a bit like he used all the element of the original, which I appreciate that. And in the breakdown, he add the piano, which he always does in all these mixes, all this production. So he's putting this piano touch, which it works very well in the Stupidisco.
Cool. Well, let's listen to the Stalker one, and then let's talk about your let's talk about remixing yourself, because I'd love to know your tips for remixing. I know some people in here might be taking on remixes themselves, or might be wanting to do remixes. So let's talk about remixing next, and then we can talk about Another Thrill, because I'd love to talk about that record. I'm guessing that I want to hear. Yeah, let's talk about that afterwards. So let's play this remix, and then we'll talk about remixing.
Cool.
Cool. So that was the Stalker remix. I really like that remix. That was cool.
It's different.
Yeah, it was cool. So yeah, I was going to ask you about remixing, because obviously a lot of new producers watching us, they might get asked to remix for the first time. What would your advice be for where they start, or when they should take on a remix, or I guess even that process of going, yes, I want to do it. What would you look for as someone that's done it a lot?
Well, for me personally, when I receive something to remix, I listen to the original, and if I feel that I can bring something to the track new, if I have suddenly an idea directly how I see the track differently, then I will do. If not, then I prefer to pass. This is my first thing, directly when I listen for the first time. Then when I accept to do it, I start always by constructing the drums, because dance music for me, it's drums and bass. It's the fundamental thing. If this doesn't make you move, nothing will make you move. So I start always by building a groove that I enjoy with the drums and bass, and then I start to picking some small pieces from the original and put them inside, then building, I first build the heart of the track, and then I start doing the breakdown, the build-ups and stuff like that. But I don't think there is really rules, how to do it. First I need to like the track to
Yeah.
start with, or at least I need to like some elements, some vocals. And if there is vocals, I like the vocals. And sometimes I feel that the harmony that are being played behind the vocals, I don't really like. I think I can make different harmony that I will prefer. So this is one of the reasons I accept just to play different chord behind the vocals. Otherwise, if it's an instrumental track, then it's a little bit more tricky because it's much more wider space what you can do. So if there is some element that I like, I can do. I know there is a lot of remixer that you ask for remix, they do a remix, they do a completely new track with what you send. They don't use any of your original stem. Personally, I don't see the point because it's not a remix anymore. It's an original track. So I never did that. When I do a remix, I always try to use some of the original stem in it because this is what for me it's called a remix. If I do a complete new track, it's not a remix anymore. It's just a new track.
People in the chat are loving your synths behind you. They're all getting very jealous.
I love them too.
There's a lot of chat about your synths. Let's talk about another Thrill. I'm guessing it's a follow-up to Thrill Me, or it's a completely separate track?
It's not a follow-up of Thrill Me. It's a track that was done in the same time that I did Thrill Me,
Right.
And it was in my drawer for a long time, for many years. And then I've been talking with the Armada about releasing new tracks and stuff. They were interested in releasing some of my music. And then I sent them a few tracks, that I had. And they've been asking, yeah, but it will be cool to have some classic Junior Jack sound, like back in the day and stuff like that. I said, okay, well, I have plenty of stuff like back in the day. So I sent them and they picked this track. They say, yeah, that's the one. We want to release that. And I was quite happy because I say to myself, all those years, I still hearing DJs playing Thrill Me. After all these years, Thrill Me is still played. So for me, it's kind of old, very old. When I listen now, it reminds me too many years. So it's an old sound for me, but I noticed that some young DJ, young producer, they just discover, even when somebody post the track, I've been reading some comment and some people still now they ask, what is this track? What's the track ID? So I say, okay, people still like this old school vibe. Why not? And I was tired myself also to play Thrill Me. And I say, okay, I have another alternative track in the same vein to play out. So that's how we release another Thrill. The vocal version has been done more in collaboration with the record company. They wanted to put some vocals on it. Then we work around, and I was not super involved with it. I just did some edit myself to arrange the vocals the way I like more. But the instrumental that just been released now, this is my own proper one. I just revamp a little bit the drums and stuff to have a little bit today's sound, even if it sounds very old school. But that was the aim.
That's cool. Someone in the chat, Crosford in the chat, says he's been listening to you since My Feeling. So there's no need to just... he's been listening to you a long time.
Very long time, because My Feeling was the first Junior Jack release. So actually since the beginning.
Also in the chat, they're asking me, have you got a favourite synth? They're on the synth. They're loving the synth.
Yes, I have a favorite synth, yes.
Which one is it? Which one is it?
I don't know. It's very heavy, so I cannot bring it close to the camera. It's my memory Moog. Actually, this synth, it's a beast. Most of my sound bank that I use, I did with that synth. Actually,
Nice.
now it's turned off. It's been a long time. It's got a lot of dust on it at the moment. But when I got it back in the days, I spent a few months doing a lot of sound bank. So now I use a sampler with plugins, to work, because it's much easier and faster to do everything in the box. But I don't use like factory library sound from samplers. I use all my sound bank that I did myself, mostly with this synthesizer, the Memory Moog. Very expensive one for the people looking for one. Very hard to find. Very delicate. You have to be very soft with it, because it's a very delicate synth and can be detuned very easy.
Wow, that's cool. So you made your own sample banks and then put them into the computer so you can use them again and again.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. All my sound that I use in my production, I like 95% are all the sound that I did myself with my synth, my own sound bank. And sometime, of course, for a simple pad or simple string, stuff like that, then I use the factory plugins. But the basic sound, like all the drums, bass, what is the heart of the track, are always the sound that I did myself with my synth.
Nice. And then you're just doing it completely inside, or everything in the box these days?
Yes.
That's cool. Well, let's listen to another thrill. Let me bring back, and we'll come back afterwards. We'll talk about another thrill for more.
I'm going to show you the synth that I use to do those bass, because I know many people asking me how I do the bass. Let me pick
do
up.
it.
I have another room with full of synth up there. I need to pick up. It's a small one.
How many of you in the chat want to see his vinyl room that he mentioned earlier? Like, he's got sections of disco and jazz, and as soon as he mentioned his vinyl room, it was like, I want to see this vinyl room.
This is a small Casio synth.
No way.
This is the synth that I used to do all the bass back in the days for Trill Me, for another Trill. So it's a very small synth, but very cool synth for bass.
That's cool. They're loving it. That's really cool. Have you got any questions in the chat for him, for Junior Jack, by the way? If you drop them in, we'll ask him. That's for sure. What model is that they were asking?
This is the Casio CZ101.
There you go, in the chat.
I'll show you. Wait,
go.
Because I'm upside down. Yes.
There you go. We're backwards. Okay, Skeleton Keys asks you, who inspires you as a producer?
Many people. Like I said, back in the days, I got the virus for house music for all those pioneers like Roger Sanchez, Todd Terry, Master at Work. Many people that they start house music, I don't have someone in particular, but it was the genre, the house music that really catch me.
When did you start making music?
Well, I started making music when I was 15 years old. And actually, wow. I released the first track when I was 16, I think, and it was a French rap. which we did like a huge success. We did like 3 million records. We sold like, over 3 million records. And that's how I start. I had to stop school, which was not legal to stop school at 16.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was in the studio working for a record company, and I did a lot of. It was not Junior Jack, of course, but
Mm,
I did a lot of production behind the scene for many artists here in Belgium, where I'm living.
mm,
And then, I got bored about this because it was very poppy kind of stuff. And I start liking house music. And then when I start my label Noise Truck and I start putting out some house stuff, and then I stop completely producing these more radio poppy kind of things. But I start, very young.
that's cool. Who was the rapper they're asking? Do you remember?
It was called Benny B.
And then you start making house music, and then what years was that?
That was in 90, I guess. Yeah.
Wow.
Think the first one released in 89, 89, beginning of the 90. Yes, that's my first record been released around that time. Yes,
No
it
way,
was,
that's mad.
it was a direct success. So I made some money with the music.
Mm,
I was young, so I was able to move, to buy a house to my mom and dad, and we moved because I was living in a very dodgy area,
mm,
you know. And
mm.
we move out, and then I start building my studio, and I had a lot of work, lot of requests from record company, and I was in the studio nonstop. So at 16 years old, I didn't have a life to go out and play with friends. I was locked in the studio nonstop.
That must have been a crazy time. Like these big record companies going make lots of records because of.
Yes, it was. It was a little bit crazy time, but the time went so fast. Everything went so fast for me that I didn't have time to sit and think about it. I was just involved in project, working nonstop. And
Mm.
just now, like 30 years after, I just realized, wow, that was a lot of work. But at the
Yeah,
moment, it was just normal, you know.
that's mental. I guess with a lot of pressure to make these records at 16, that must have been.
No, I didn't feel the pressure. I didn't feel the pressure because people was putting me in a high level. Yeah, we want that, and I was feeling, yeah, I'm the best. I can do that very fast, very quick. So I didn't have any pressure. The pressure came later on. The
Mm,
pressure came later on when I start putting my face on a record, because
mm,
you don't have pressure when you are behind. The people doesn't know you, they don't know your face, they don't talk to you. You just do your job in the studio. Who has the pressure is the artist, the front page of the project. They have the
mm,
pressure because people come talk to you. I start having pressure when I start Junior Jack project because the first record of Junior Jack was My Feeling, and I had a big success with that. And I started traveling all over, and then everything went fast. So I did the first album with Thrill Me, Samba, Stupidisco, Da Hype. Everything went naturally. And just after that, when everything had success and I start touring everywhere, then it's when the pressure came on me. I say, oh
mm,
shit, all these people now waiting hit from me. And then I stopped releasing because nothing that I was doing was good enough for me to release. So I said, oh,
mm,
no, it's not good enough. Oh, no, it's not good enough. It was never good enough because I was never feeling alone in the studio anymore.
mm,
Before that, when I was working, I was feeling that I'm working, I do track for me. But after you have a success, you know that all these people writing to you, all these people consume your music and waiting something from you, then you have the pressure because I was in the studio and I had the feeling that there is 1,000 people behind me watching what I'm doing. So
mm.
this is when the pressure comes.
Those were such massive records. That I said earlier, those are such massive records as well, massive album, and that sound, but around that time was huge as well. And I guess like we just listened to another Thrill, and that just took me back to those years of 2000, those 2000 years when that sound was so big, you know.
Yes, but that was the aim of releasing another Thrill now.
Such a big record. Like I've been kind of waiting for that sound. You know, as music does, it kind of cycles a little bit, and it kind of like you get these little
Yes.
kind of that sound comes back, and I've been kind of waiting for that early 2000 sounds to come back. And
The strange thing is that when the sound, like you say, it's a cycle, but when the sound coming back, it's rarely the same people who did the original sound that are coming back. Are always new people coming back with it, because the people who did the original, it's weird. For example, for me, I want to do something new that I didn't do before. For me, working and do the same sound that I did like 20 years ago, it's kind of weird. But for some young kids that they start, for them it's something new. But for me, it's not new. I mean, taking back my old sound bang and start doing stuff, I feeling like I'm not progressing anymore. You know, I feel like I go back what I did already.
and then you say so. Then the label have added a vocal mix. Should we listen to that? I guess I'd love to hear what they've added. Let's listen to the vocal. And then someone in the chat has asked. I'll let you think about this while we play the vocal mix. Is there a standout gig you remember playing? Let's play the vocal, and I'll let you have a think. Okay. And then also, I want to ask you your 5 things producers need to know as well for our YouTube series. So let's play this track, and then we'll ask you those questions.
Music of the hill and in the nation is a tackle. The ring about the chuck you have to play with the trackle. Rinse out your hip with a static motion. Mix up the bassline like a potion. Combine Caribbean with the German. Dashing a little of the Turkish motion. The DJ play this shit, I tell you. It's not the sound, it's just a rhythm in you. Now that you finally got it, control. Do everything that I'm gonna tell you. And when it's all over, then start again, y'all. Come on and shake what your mama gave you. Hey, I like it like this. I like it like that. I like it like this. Hey, I like it like this. I like it like that.
So that's the vocal mix. Someone else in the chat. What did they ask? They asked. There's a couple of questions. Oh, I saw you play in Miami together back to back with Kid Cre in 2001. What was your best memory from back in the day with him?
The best memory, yes, is when we start playing in the very big venues. If I have to remember something right now, will be without doubt the first Ministry of Sound gig.
Yeah.
Because, you know, for me, Ministry of Sound was like a temple of house music. And, you know, we went there, we were booked to play in the bar, not in the main room. And we start playing. I remember somebody some promoter, somebody that promoted the party. I don't remember which party. I think it was a party called Ruling, but back in the days, you know. And somebody came and say, yeah, man, you play too hard. This is the bar. You have to play more vocal, more deep. And I look at him, I say, man, we just start playing. We have 3-hour set. Let me do my thing. I cannot play 3-hour vocal deep. I don't have those records. This is not what I play. So the guy was at the back. And 1 hour after, we just fucking rocked the room. People was on top of the table, and the main room, we emptied the main room, and everybody was in the bar. You could not move. And the guy, the same guy, I look at him, he was at the back dancing like crazy. After we finished the gig, somebody say, yeah, can you come in the office? Somebody want to talk to you from the ministry. So we say, yeah, okay. We went, they say, well, we want to offer you a residency.
Nice.
That was highlight. We say, you know, we pretend like everything was cool, but as soon as we came out from the ministry, we were screaming in the streets, shit, man, we have a residency at the ministry. No way. And yes, so this is a big memory. And of course, the first season with Defected in Ibiza, when Defected start their party at the El Divino back in the days, I was part of that starting Defected adventure in Ibiza. This is a big memory because it was very amazing We had an amazing season, and actually we did only 2 seasons, 2 or 3. I'm not sure now, but not much. And after that, I mean, the Pasha people came, and Simon from Defected called me up. I say, yeah, well, we need to move. We are not playing El Divino anymore. We're moving to Pasha. And I remember at the beginning, I was a little bit pissed and sad. I say, why? Why, man? It's so amazing, El Divino. We have so much, so good vibe. Why we had to move to Pasha? He told me, say, look, Vito, we have the room, it's packed. We have to refuse half of the people the entrance. We cannot continue. We need something bigger. So we moved to Pasha, and actually, I didn't regret that because
Yeah, I
after
bet.
the Pasha adventure was amazing also during 10 years or so. So those are the highlight of the DJ life. And of course, all the bigger festival like Tomorrowland and all those, the global gathering and all those big festival. It's also something playing stadiums and stuff like that. But playing on those big venue, it's impressive because you see your name on the lineup, but you don't have this contact with the people because you are on a big stage alone, and the first guy from the crowd, it's about 100 meters from you. So you have this big gap between you and the crowd. It's not the same. Personally, I prefer smallest venue because you see the people faces. You are more connected with them because they are closer to you.
Yeah, I used to work for Turnmill's nightclub in London, and I remember you guys used to come there, and it was always packed then as well.
Yeah, it was crazy time, man.
That was
It
fun.
was the time without mobile phone in the club.
Let's chat production now. I have a series on my YouTube channel. It's called 5 Things Producers Need to Know. So let's ask you your 5 things producers need to know.
First thing you need to know is to learn a minimum basic of the musical theory, because without that, it's very complicated to understand what you're doing with the note and stuff. You don't need to be a Mozart to make house music, of course, but at least a minimum. I will advise to people to start learning one scale. So you learn one scale, so you know all the chords and the note of that scale, and you can do all your track to start in one scale, and then you can progress. So that's the first thing for me. The second thing is to make sure to have a soundproof room. All the equipment of this world, if your room it's bullshit, everything you do will sound bullshit. So the most important thing to start with when you make your home studio or place where you're working, where you do stuff, it's to make sure that you have a correct sound. Third thing will be the monitors. Yeah, choosing your monitors, because again, doesn't matter how much equipment you have. At the end of the day, it's what you hear that your choices. And so the monitors are very important, but going together with the room, because if your room is not okay, you can put all the monitors of the world, the sound will not be okay.
Which monitors do you use, by the way?
I use barefoot monitors, and since I had Adam monitors before, but since I have those barefoot, man, my life became so brighter. Everything is much easier. I love those monitors. They are
Yeah,
quite expensive, but they are worth it, really. It's the best piece of my equipment that I have, I think.
that's cool. I guess you said you were an Adam before. That's cool. I guess they're better for the newer producer that's doesn't have as much money.
Yes, I had Adam before. Yeah, they're okay, but they are not very loud on sub frequencies, so they crash very fast. So to do dance music, sometimes you want to pump the volume, and the Adam are not following you really. Fourth tip will be to listen lot of music, not only what you do yourself, but listen what other people do. And the fifth tip will be to understand how things are made, to try to reproduce one track that you like, not specially to release, not specially to send on the record company, just picking a track that you like, the way it sounds, the way it's pumping, and try to do the same thing to understand how is it done, to understand working out with the compressor, to understand how to match the kick with your bass. If you have a low bass, so you have to have a kick with the less low frequency. If you have a medium bass sound, then you need a kick with much more low end. And all those things you understand by reproducing something that you like, because then you do A, B. What you do, what you like, and you will hear directly the difference that, and you work and work until you get closer to what you like. And this process will make you understand a lot in the production work.
That's really cool. Thank you for your 5 things. That was wicked.
You're welcome.
You were saying earlier when you're doing when we were talking about remixes, you start with the meat of the track, the nucleus of the track, the kicks and the bass. Is that your general starting point for all tracks?
Yes, because the tune and the tonality, the tuning stuff together is very important. So I start before by checking which tonality is the track. The tonality is very important, so that's why I advise people to listen things that they like to understand, because if there is a track that you like how it sounds in the low end, it's not only because of the kick or the bass, it's also the tonality, because if you play something, for example, in B scale, it's too high frequency, so you're never gonna have those low end frequencies. So you need to check the track that you like in which tonality it is, and then you start with same tonality. I will say, for me, the best tonality for the best low-end frequency, it's between E flat and A maximum, So between those notes, this is where you have the best frequency to have the low end that you need for dance music. So it's the same. It's checking. That's why I start with the kick, because I start with the tonality of the track I want to do, and I choose first my kick, the color of the kick in the right tonality. And then when the kick is in the right tonality, your bass is going to match very good with the kick. You can limit and compress very well. It's never going to crash because the frequency are in tune together. So this is very important. But again, for people who just start, what I just said doesn't mean anything, probably, that's why the best school is to reproduce stuff that you like. It will make you understand. That's what I did. I spent a lot of time reproducing record or reproducing groove that I like from some people that I like how it sound, and then I understand that it's not that easy. People think that dance music is just one kick, one clap, and a bass, and you are done. To have the great sound and the good low end, it's not that easy. You need to understand how to play with the frequencies.
Someone asked what did they ask in the chat? They said, do you tune your kicks?
Yeah, of course. This is fundamental.
They're also saying that you should do master classes because they're actually loving this in the chat.
Yes, to be honest, I'm not very good on talking on the camera and explaining things, but I did an effort for you today. I rarely do this, because most of the time I don't have any magical thing to say. The application I was telling you before that I'm working on the application on one app, one plugin for music producers, and this is going to solve a lot of problems. I put all my knowledge of 30 years and everything that I understood in the production process during all this time. I put all those frustration inside the one plugin that will solve all the problem. It's been now like 4 years of coding and of working, and it's coming everything together. And hopefully, we're gonna be able to release the plugin end of this year or maximum beginning of next year. And this is gonna be something who's gonna solve all the problem that I was just talking before.
That sounds cool. Well, let us know when that happens, and we can maybe get you back on to talk about that plugin. That sounds well cool.
Yes, yeah, with pleasure. When this is out, I can make you a demonstration and show you how this is work. this is will answer many questions.
Talking about plugins, let's talk about, you said you worked in the box a lot. Do you have favorite plugins you always use?
Like I said, most of the time I use my own samples, my own sound bank, so it doesn't matter which sample. Most of the time I use the XX24 from Logic, the basic Logic sample player, but with my own sound bank. And as a synth, I really like Atmosphere for Spectrasonic. It's very cool for pad and for for the pad mostly I use that. And for all the sound, I love Silent. I mean, many people love it. It's one of the best plug-in synth for me, because I really know it very well, so I can tweak it and do the sound I want with it. It sounds very good inside of the mix because many plugins they sound right when you play them alone, but as soon as you want to put inside of the mix, they come disappearing with the phase. There is something strange going on with those plugins to when you mix down. So I recommend Silent, but I think most of the people they already have it.
That's cool. Thank you. A lot of people always say about finishing music, and people struggle to finish music and getting that last 20%. Do you have any tips for that?
Yes, the problem of finishing music is because the choices of the sound are not correct. Because when you mix down, if you need to EQ a lot, if you need to compress a lot, if you need to tweak a lot all your sound to get all together sounds good, you better looking for choosing a better sound to start with. So that's why I say from the beginning, when you choose a good kick, a good clap, a good hi-hat, a good percussion, a good bass, you don't need to fuck around so much. They sound right. If you start tweaking too much, it means your original sound that you choose, they are not really the ones. I never EQ a lot the sound, If I start EQing a lot one sound or tweaking a lot, I prefer to search a better sound that fitting directly the way I want.
I'm just letting it all soak in. This is mental. I love this chat. It's well good. So what's coming next for you?
Yeah, at the moment I'm very busy, like I told you, with this application, checking, debugging and checking all the stuff. So I'm working for that. And then on the label, we will have like I told you, this Josh Butler remix coming up soon, and this George remix for Joachim Ameling, Speculation, and working on some new material with my partner Pat BDS and myself to releasing on the label.
Nice. That's cool. Someone says, do you master your own stuff?
No. I use Mastering Studio lately a lot of AM/PM in London, Mastering Studio. Wired also in England, in London. No, I prefer to make somebody else mastering the track because they have fresh ears. I work around the track, doing the track, mixing the track and everything. Then one moment you are tired about the track. You don't have this fresh listen anymore. So I prefer somebody else to do that. And of course, we work back and forth. So I do the mastering, sanding, I correct, I amended some stuff, they redo, and then, we get the final result this way.
Should we play another track from the label whilst we've got the time? I love that Tim Cullen track, so let's play that so everyone can hear that. And you mentioned you've got you just obviously just released the one with Armada. Have you got more with them?
We will see. I mean, we will talk. We've been not talking really a long term. We wanted to make one shot together to see if they're happy with me, if I'm happy with them, and then we will see if we keep on doing stuff together.
Okay, well, let's play this Tim Cullen remix, this Tim Cullen track. I'll play the original, and then if anyone's got any questions while that's playing, we'll ask them afterwards. Stummy Splash is asking you, what is the expectation for the label for getting tracks mastered before submission, and do you kind of look for? Does that matter to you?
Yes, of course. I mean, because dance music, it's important the way it sounds. It's supposed to be played loud in clubs, so the frequency must be controlled. Otherwise, you kill the people ears. Even DJ will not play your record, even if your idea is cool. If it doesn't sound right, it's not going to be played. So, yeah, of course, it's very important the way it sounds.
I guess if you're signing tracks, do you need to hear them mastered? Because you're essentially the label might master it anyway.
No, for me to judge if I like the track or not, I don't care if it masters or not, of course. So, of course, the first thing is the track himself, And then, we do the technical side to be able to be on the market.
One other question. How do you process your drum bus? Big tech.
Yes, I do. Yes. When it needs to, yes, I compress the drum bus to have all them stick together and sound like a loop.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. It's been amazing fun.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Well, that's been epic fun. Junior Jack, thank you so much for joining me.
I will come back to talk about my application.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do a run through. I want to hear loads about it. Like, it already sounds amazing. So when you're ready, 100%, dude, let's go through that.
We will do a screen sharing. I will program something live with this application to show you how it works. It's a magical thing.
Just from the basics, is it going to fit into the usual? Is it a whole Is it a whole one app, or does it fit into your normal DAW?
No, it's a plugin, so it can work VST or audio unit. Yeah, you can work with all the DAW.
Well, I'm well up for that. We'll definitely do that. That sounds cool.
Looking forward for that.
Wicked. Guys, I'm just going to go back to Be Right Back. I'll say goodbye to Vito. So let's thank you very much for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Did you enjoy that? I hope you did. I hope you got value out of it. If you did, let me know what your favourite part was. Let me know what the best thing you got out of it was in the comments below. And if you really liked it, give it a thumbs up, because it really helps with the YouTube algorithm, helps more people find it, and it really helps me out. If you really enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel. It's a little red button in the corner. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheerio. Bye.